If Rodney Mullen had never adapted the ollie to flat ground, what would we be doing? Would we still be able to get off the ground? What would skateboarding look like? Welcome back to Rad Rat Video, a channel all about skateboarding, where I like to answer your questions about things in the skateboarding world. I like to review things involved with skateboarding, and sometimes I torture myself with playing terrible games in difficult ways for your amusement. But today, I'm answering some questions. The first is from Keller. It says, I'm curious what your thoughts are on the process of learning a new trick. Do you prefer to focus only on that trick, i.e. devote an entire session or more to trying it a million times until you get it, or pick away at it by trying it a few times per session? When I was younger with unlimited energy and still learning basic tricks, I would do the former. Now that I'm old and new tricks are harder, I tend to do the latter so I can still get a good skate in. It may take me weeks or even months to learn something new. I'm wondering if maybe I'm doing myself a disservice when learning new tricks, especially since I tend to wait until towards the end of my session to work on new stuff. Then again, I'm having more fun now than ever, so maybe that doesn't matter. I would agree that that's definitely true. If you are having more fun, then who cares? If you can do 10 tricks, but you can do them really well, and you're practicing doing them more consistently in lines and mixing them up in different ways at new spots. You're doing it at a bigger hip, a steeper bank, more stairs, that type of stuff. As long as you're still pushing yourself to some degree, I think it's great. And you don't even have to push, to do better. It just, you get that feeling of accomplishment. I don't think I'd have as much fun just doing the same stuff, but that could still be the case for you. But as far as learning tricks, my technique is not great. I think having a session, getting some stuff down, getting some practice in, getting in the groove, and then trying that trick is probably the best way to do it. I do the opposite, though, because of the same reason you said, which is that I get tired super easy. I'll skate for like 20 minutes and I'll feel like I'm gonna die. So I get lightheaded and my vision will start to close up. I got some health stuff. So so if I'm gonna go out and try to land a trick, I just go for it. On Instagram, I posted this clip. I didn't post it. It was a story. If you don't follow me on there, I only post stories. I don't really post stuff on the grid. It's just stories for the most part. But that's the first thing I tried. I had that thought because it didn't seem too hard, and it felt like something I should do to be able to get back into some freestyle, get that practice in, but kind of hard, so it was still a challenge. And that was the first thing I did. I didn't try anything else, and that's how I learn new stuff. I just go for it. It's the first thing I do. I put down the board. I might push a couple times, turn, do a little bit of stretching, and I'll manual a couple parking spots, do a shove it, like that, a minute or two, and then I just do that trick only. And it's more likely to get the trick landed, but it's not fun because it can be really frustrating. If that's the only thing you did and you haven't done it yet, it sucks. If you spend an hour, you go out, you spend an hour just trying a trick, bailing it over and over and over, and you go back in, you're not going to be happy the rest of the night. But if you had a really good session, you landed a bunch of cool stuff, you tried that trick for a while, it didn't quite work out, but that's okay. That's probably better. So don't do it the way I do. It's just how it kind of works for me. All right. I accidentally started typing when I'm trying to scroll, and it sucked. Okay, next question is from Jim9Million, who says, who are your Skater of the Year 22 picks so far and why? Alternatively, what have been your favorite video parts this year and why? I'm going to go for the second part. My favorite part of the year that I've seen so far, which is on Thrasher. I only really watch stuff on Thrasher because they have so much that I can't really keep up with all of it anyway. So if it was not on Thrasher, I probably haven't seen it. My favorite part of the year so far is Dylan Jabe, I think is how you say his name. The part is called High. He's got a perfect mix of tech and style. He's got an amazing impossible. Just pulls it way up in the air. I love it. There's this line where he's doing all these tricks, and then the guy who is filming puts the camera down. He does a kickflip himself, and then does the last trick in the line, which was fun. Lots of really tech, cool stuff. I really enjoyed that part. That is the favorite one of mine so far for the year. I haven't seen everything. I've seen quite a few of them. Silas Baxter Neal is up there too. Lots of creative spots that I haven't seen. Just doing, really cool stuff. Tons of style and all the stuff he does. I prefer slightly more tech stuff than that, so he doesn't get my top pick, but he's still getting a mention because that part is incredible. And the most creative one that I enjoyed, there were a couple that were incredibly creative, but they weren't as good. My favorite creative category type part is Travis Harrison. It's a tray flip, hippie jump, manual on a grass hill. Like it's really cool. I really had a fun time seeing that. I like to be surprised when I watch a part. And when you see the stair set and then it's an ollie and it's over and over and over, I don't enjoy that as much. When it's something really weird that you didn't expect, you see how their feet are set up and you're like, wait, what is that going to be? And then it's something crazy. That's the kind of thing that I enjoy the most in the skate part. So those are my top 3. I may have missed some. I don't know. And it's only July as of recording. It's probably still July when you're watching it. Or no, it's not going to be. I don't know. It's current date, and it's not the end of the year yet, so there's still maybe some more that I enjoy. All right. Next question is from Will. Hey, I just started watching someone recently. Love the videos. Thought I'd ask what you think about hip-hop and skating becoming more intertwined. Rap groups like Merino Infantry have dropped skate videos in the past, continue to use skateboards in their logo, and even have skateboarding in music videos. Their team has kind of fallen apart nowadays. Just wondering if you are particularly excited about hip-hop musicians getting more involved, or if you could care less. I know for me it's definitely exciting, but what about you? Does a skate team put together by a rap group sound interesting to you? Sort of like the Ice Cream team back in the day with Pharrell. It's cool, but it kind of depends. Like there are a couple of songs. There was Kick Push by Lupe Fiasco and Nollie Tray Flip by Hobson, which I greatly enjoy. It's cool to have like two of your hobbies cross over, songs about something you like, or like I'm into comic books quite a bit. There's a skateboarding comic book. I did a video on that when that came out, and it's cool to have like two things that you like at the same time. But if one or both is not good, then I don't care. If it's like a really amazing song and it's about something I don't know about, that's great. If it's an okay song, but the guy does a kickflip in it, I don't know. There's a certain point where it's kind of like I'm using skateboarding to try to sell stuff. Like more people watch my song because I've put this vibe in it versus I just also like skating. I don't know. It's not a huge thing for me. It's interesting. I check it out when that stuff comes up. But having crossover stuff between different hobbies, it's fine. I don't care as much as you, but it's cool that it's getting out there at least. All right, next is from Joey M, who says, Hey Aaron, been watching for a few years now. Keep up the good work. I wanted to ask, what's your favorite video series to make new videos for on the channel? Is it Ask Radrat, the challenge runs, etc.? Have a great week. Hope all is well. So the physics ones to me are the most fun. There's a playlist right here. And, someone will ask a question of like, how high can you ollie on Mars? And I'll get really into the weeds on it, like really getting in depth on it. How high can you ollie? Well, it's not just how high you would get if you jumped on Earth. It's like the jumping process has to be on Mars too, and that's a whole different math subset. And like getting into all this stuff and trying to figure out in detail what this would be like, and then trying to come up with what it might look like. That's a lot of fun. I have one I'm planning on doing in the near future. I've got a list of stuff that I'm trying to get through first, but those are fun because you get like a hard answer, and it's cool to like know what the limits could be. What's the most stairs you could possibly jump? Knowing that type of stuff is pretty cool. Retro Rippers is also fun because it's like I get to really dig into the career of a certain pro and watch all of their parts and read all this stuff on them and get like a bio going and all that. That's fun. The only problem is copyright stuff. Like if I use enough clips from a part, is it still free use? And I get into all this stuff, and then the filmer will send me a cease and desist, and then the skater himself will reach out and be like, hey, I don't want people to know about that thing anymore. Could you please take it down? It's a big hassle because it's like, it's so much work. and then it might not exist a month after it's done. That kind of makes it so it's tougher to work on that one. This series is also fun because I don't know what the topics are. Like, I don't have to think up all the topics and come up with stuff. I get like really interesting questions from you that, each episode of this one could be totally different. There's lots of questions that come up, like stance stuff comes up all the time, but I always get to look at a new aspect of skateboarding. So I do enjoy this one quite a bit, but I would say the physics ones are my favorite. All right, the last question of the day is from Matt, who says, Radrat, longtime supporter, my question is this. Many people speculate that if Rodney Mullen had never invented the ollie, someone else may have stumbled upon it. My question is a variation on that same idea. Do you think someone else would have found a different way to jump? Do you think we all would have been doing no complies, for example? All the best. All right. So something came to mind, and I searched for it on Google, and I found my own blog. Which happens sometimes. It's almost always the blog. It doesn't show like, here. It doesn't come to like where I talked about it in a video, but I find my own blog all the time. So the story I was trying to tell, I will read a quote from you. It's from Steve Rocco. He's talking about a story from 1979. The first pop shove-its were done frontside by Alan Gelfin and myself in Venezuela in July 1979 over a 3-inch or 4-inch pipe laying on the ground. I believe it was an attempt to stop us from skating across the arena floor. Alan and I took it as a personal challenge and decided to see if we could go right over it without losing speed and therefore reinforcing the old adage that necessity is a mother of invention. Alan was already hitting his tail and getting his board to pop without question, but since I had a freestyle board and he had either Paul Peralta Beamer or a Ray Bones Rodriguez model, which were both about 10 inches wide, by the way, I was able to pop it a bit higher and make it over first. The first pop shove-its were frontside. Backside was a while later. Not sure who did those first. All right, so this was 1979, 3 years before the flat ground version of the ollie was invented. So, like, if Rodney Mullen had not done it, someone else probably could have done it. He was saying that they were popping the tail. But it was with a spin, and like a front shove it is different from an ollie, is like conceptually, because it makes sense that you could do a pop shove it and land back on the board. People were doing normal at the time. You wouldn't call it that anymore. It's off the nose, and you would kind of twist your ankle and push with your back foot at the same time. So you would get off the ground by about this much, and the board could even like kind of glance off the ground mid spin and land. Like you could get in the air, but you wouldn't get that far in the air. So if you were popping the tail and doing a shove it, the idea of being able to pop the board without the board spinning is a step. It's not an obvious thing. It's totally different as far as, considering how do you control the board, but it probably could have been done. But like, would everything have to be a spin? If no one figured out how to ollie, but the pop shove-its were out, you'd be seeing nothing but front shoves, big spins, stuff like that. That'd be the only way to get up in the air. That's kind of a weird thing. But then you would see, your types of foot plant tricks and things like that. So it would have been possible to still get up in the air in different ways. But how different would skateboarding have been? If the ollie wasn't invented for another 5 years, someone stumbled on it much after that, then street skating would have looked a lot different. And if street skating didn't have the ollie until like 1990 or something like that, that would have pushed it way behind. And vert died out because street was getting more popularity. If people couldn't ollie yet, vert probably wouldn't have died out as much, or if it did die out, it would have been skateboarding dying out. So it could have been a much different world if that hadn't happened. But that said, we would have always had a way to get up in the air. But if you just picture, you always have to do a front shove it every time you want to get up in the air. You want to get up a curb, got to front shove it up. Then the board's backwards, so you do a front shove. And then you want to ollie off the end of the curb, so you do another front shove at the end. It was possible. It would have definitely always been possible. But it would have looked a lot different. So that is what I've got for that. If you want to watch that, I'm going to put that in the end screen here where you can watch the video with all the details about the front shove and how it was invented. It's an interesting one. There's a lot of debate about what constitutes a shove it and all that kind of stuff. You should definitely check that one out. But if you got any more questions, go to radratvideo.com and you can submit them there on the homepage. You can hit the join button here on YouTube. You can sponsor me on Patreon and send questions through there. You can tell all your friends. You can hit the like button, and you can stay tuned for next week. I will see you there. Thanks for hanging out.